It's like one of those days, unless you're like in the shitcoin trenches, you just go hang out with your family for now because there's not much going on here.
GM friends, and thanks for tuning in to DeFi-Logic's TA Tuesday every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Server members enjoy weekly community calls, request chart reviews, and join in on live discussions in the server. The link is in the video description below. In today's community call, we'll review charts for Trader Joe, Celestia, Bonk, Injective, BNB, Avalanche, Bitcoin, Total 2, and for legacy markets, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial, NASDAQ, US dollar index, US 10-year bonds, and finally, gold. And with that, over to Eddie.
What's up, everyone? Let's get to it. Market's still been fun, but volatility's down today, so might be over till New Year's. Let's see. We'll start with Bitcoin like normal. So it's had a pretty big push up. So obviously we've been grinding up for a while. I think last week I mentioned that this price action was like weird to me, and then it puked. So basically what I'm looking at now, like I was saying a minute ago, price action today is slow and strange. So I probably won't be actively day trading today. I think this is like one of those days, unless you're like in the shitcoin trenches, you just go hang out with your family for now because there's not much going on here. It's starting to look like it was a little bit lower to me on the daily time frame. Originally, I wanted this level to hold. We went way past below it. If you want like an intraday setup, in moments like today, I like to just play the Monday range. So I've just been waiting to see if we sweep that, which we haven't done yet. We did on Monday and gave it a little double bottom thing here. So basically all I'm looking for like intraday is see if we can sweep this Monday low, get back in with an hourly close. And at that point, I would long with the invalidation being the new low, aiming for mid-range and Monday high. Outside of that though, a pretty important level, I think, clear this chart. I think that this level here is going to be pretty vital to see if we have any sort of continuation moving forward. I think if this rejects and you get some more bearish price action, we're going to go lower and we probably start I've been feeling since the end of September that we would rally until right around Christmas time and then hopefully get a big market puke either at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. And then, presumably, hopefully, resume up-only action for all of 2024. And I think that's basically setting up right now. So I'm basically just watching for now. I bought this double bottom yesterday. I already took profit on it, and I'm just chilling, seeing if it'll sweep again or if we can start reclaiming some stuff. But it's a kind of a bleak picture. So I want to maybe give us some like levels to look for if we do get a pretty good nuke. We're still in this like resistance zone too that I've had so I think the rally is over for the year, honestly. This seems like a lot of the people that are going to be filing the ETF were probably buying right here. So I don't know how deep into it you get, but I think any dips like into this region are probably safe to be buying spot with. And then anything lower than it, if you get below it, what's taking out some of this stuff, and then you can reclaim back above it, you can probably lever up. So I'm just waiting for that. If it dips even lower, I'll just look for the simple SR stuff. So that's the plan for Bitcoin on a higher time frame and then also some intraday stuff. Ethereum still has been weaker. The chart hasn't changed much since we looked at it last week. We have this high time frame level that it broke out of and it's just doing nothing. It gave one pump, basically the first time it tested it. Where was that? I guess this one right here. Or actually technically it was this one if you go on a lower time frame. Came up, retested it, and gave a decent pump, and now it's just looks like the same thing. Looks like it may be a Monday range play potentially. But I think it's gonna, I don't know if this breakout retest is gonna hold. I could put another level on it and you could just slowly buy into it, but it's just been so weak and I think it's gonna continue to be weak until, I don't know, maybe right around the Bitcoin ETF approval. Then at that point, maybe Ethereum has its turn. That's my thesis, and I've seen a lot of people have the similar idea, is that we want to pile into Ethereum once we see that getting approved, because the Bitcoin trade is presumably going to be done at that point, at least mid time frame. So just watching this area still, not much to do on this. It's a boring chart to be playing. So we haven't looked at total 2 in a while, so everything excluding Bitcoin, and we're basically just capping here at my old macro range. If it breaks out, then we can run and we can start targeting some of this higher stuff. But for now, it's getting stopped here. Maybe another test into this area here. which kind of lines up with, you know, the end of the year or beginning of the year dip I was talking about. Actually, that's not much further to go down, so I don't think that'd be that great. I'd rather wait for a flip here or another test of the mid-range or even below it. If you can get like on the discount part of this range pretty good, then that might be nice. Total 3 has already broken out of this and it's retesting it right now. So it's interesting, but when you look at the market, it makes sense because altcoins have been having a lot of fun and Bitcoin and Ethereum, well, Ethereum specifically hasn't really done a whole lot. We're gonna look at Bonk next. So Bonk was actually called in the DeFi-Logic server, basically at the bottom. Everyone in there who got involved made a ton of money on Bonk. I even in there mentioned at one point switching all my Ethereum to Bonk, and it just has massively outperformed. So the DeFi-Logic server has been killing basically every single move, which is really fun to see. And if you're not in there, you don't like money. It does look distributive right here on the higher time frames now, though. Check that out. I think that was last time we looked at it on stream, and that played out really nice too. However, it does look like it's cooling off a little bit. So it's tough to play these up-only charts because you don't have like other data to look at besides like the recent price action. So if I were to look at this, I wouldn't really be shorting it here, but it gave plenty of reasons to short just on that line alone, you know? Personally, I've just been buying all the dips and taking profit. And I still like that idea because low time frame, it is holding this area. I think I drew like one of those triangles and posted it on Twitter earlier too, but it's breaking down from that triangle. I'll just show you really quickly what I'm talking about. How do I switch chart on here? So it's doing like this whole pattern thing, but it broke out of it. But this is literally the zone I put on it too on online. So it's breaking down from that too. So I think at this point, maybe if we can get back down into the 8 region, that would be a nice spot to load up on some Bonk spot. I think it wants lower. That's another thing too. So Bonk has been a market leader for a while now, basically all month, but it's starting to break down. So when the market leaders are starting to show signs of exhaustion and they want to break down, usually they bring the market down with it. Like everyone already knows that rule for Bitcoin, but I think people fail to realize that altcoins do that too. And it's not really Ethereum anymore. It's just what everyone performed the most is typically the leading indicator. So just watching it for now. If it can find some support in these regions, cool. If not, I'm going to be looking here at this $8 level, or 0.0008, right down here. Alternatively, if they can start flipping this 13 level, then maybe it can go again. But who knows? It's looking tired. It's looking very distributive. I think for now you pay attention elsewhere and wait to load up on it if it can come lower. So Celestia. We also covered this very early on in the DeFi-Logic server, and this was the last stream trade on it, and it freaking played out really well and it continued to pump. So again, just plugging, if you're not in the server while it's free, you're really missing, because basically everybody in here catches like all the best movers. It's quite impressive actually. And this is going to be a really good performer. They have no unlocks all of 2024. So new plans, same thing. It's looking tired. The whole market in whole, I think, is going to pull back, but it's hard to say. I'm not necessarily shorting it. I'm just more so looking for levels to get to buy later on in. I think if you can get below here though, and do one of these guys, and if you're brave, you can short it, but I don't know if I really want to, like I was saying. So just same idea, let's just look for spot levels to buy again. I think really any of these daily close levels right here is pretty good. Personally, this is a coin that I'm just gonna hold for the whole year. So I don't mind just buying in certain key areas. So when it taps here, I'll buy. If it taps here, I'll buy some more. And then if it can come down to these lows, I like using the closes a lot. So if it can make it down here, then I'll just buy more. Not much TA to do on a coin and price discovery other than buy the dips, right? This is where we've been in a bull market all quarter. I think we'll be in a bull market next year. So you just want to keep it simple and just buy the dips, right? That's what I'm looking for. Buy lower, sell higher. If it flips that level, we'll get in again. Injective, also called in the server around $7. So that's like a 4x. I don't exactly remember what we were looking at on stream last time. This looks like a bunch of squiggles, but I did point up and it went up, right? I don't remember what the plan was, but this was another one of the market leaders. Same idea. not really any unlocks going forward. It's in price of discovery. It's hard to really know what to do besides just look for levels to become a buyer on. But again, it looks like it wants to break down. So intraday, if this 4 hour can close above all of these wicks, then you can buy it again with a stop below that one and just aim for higher with a TP at the highs, right? So that could happen. And then if that doesn't happen, you don't get a good close there, areas that I want to be a buyer on it, if we can get, I don't know if we'll come all the way down here again, but if you can retest this zone somehow, you just buy as much as you can, in my opinion, because I think this is going to continue to outperform all of next year. 2 plans, one intraday, one big nuke scenario. But either way, same idea, just buy the dips on INJ, and I think you'll be happy going into the year, especially with the last 2 coins. There should be a lot of airdrops and stuff going on in those, which I plan on taking advantage of. So we'll do Joe and then AVAX. So Joe had an announcement yesterday that Merchant Mo on Mantle Network will airdrop 7.5% of Mo to Joe holders in different distributions, which is interesting that we didn't really get any. I guess we did get a pump, but everybody sold off it, and now it's printed bearish price action again. But this is also another thing that we called like in the server, just in the chat, because I was super bullish on Joe. So I looked at it. We never got the deep black, but we got the flip of the level and basically went all the way to almost to the range high, but it went into the discount of that range, this area right here. It was a really good trade, but now it looks like it wants to pull back. Everything else does. I'm gonna delete that, that actually does it. It's not relevant for now. Joe, it's such a wiki coin. It's like hard to know. It's definitely something spot you want to buy again, but I think if you bid the wicks all the way down to this former, I want to say this was a weekly SR level that I had on here. Yeah, on these weekly closes. I think anywhere in this zone, as wide as it is safe to buy on Joe, especially if you're going to be getting airdropped. I still think that it's going to go to this level as well as to this one next too. But who knows? We'll see how strong it is. I think a lot of the Joe pump has just been because the whole like on-chain narrative that we've seen this past week. So maybe that performed well because of it. I think you just need to watch to see if these levels hold, and if it does, you can just load back up and then aim for new highs. If this level doesn't hold, it's hard to know when it'll stop. It's a hard chart to play, honestly, because there's just so much like significant stuff. Hold on, I'm just going to delete everything. Here, actually, I felt like my old lines were giving me too much bias. Oh, but look, it lines up with daily trend. Yeah, I think you just start buying anywhere from 558 down to 466, and if you start getting daily closes below 453, personally I would get out. Unless you're just buying it for the airdrop, then you don't care, right? But if you're doing it for a trade, that would be my idea, and then it should continue to go up higher, somewhere around there, which it almost hit, and then maybe around there too. I'll leave those for now. That's Joe. I don't think I had AVAX on here, so let me just pull it up real quick. AVAX had been pumping. This was like another one that, again, it was like dropped in the server, in the chat. I'd mentioned if it can deviate below $20, it's going to send. And this was the trade I gave. And it did that thing. It was actually down here. I re-entered it later and brought up my average, because sometimes it's okay to buy higher. It was like that. We're trading around here, and I said if we can deviate below 20 and go back up, it'll send. And it went straight to my target, a little bit higher. But it's been performing really well over the last month. And if you're in the chat, you would have caught that whole move. It was like a 6-hour trade, 9-hour trade, whatever. It was a little bit less because I averaged up. It was like a 6-hour trade for me. But that's the past. Let's see what it can do now. It looks like the total chart, right? I think if you can start getting some daily closes above 36.4, then you'll have a new range to play with this kind of chunky lower part of the mid-range of it though. So if it stays up in this range, then you're good to go higher. If it doesn't, which it looks like it's going to pull back more, I think if you can get down here, maybe even this one. I like these candles a lot. So maybe down here. That's where I'd be re-interested in buying again down here around 25. Or if we can get closes above this 36.5. Then I'm interested again in it. So that's AVAX. Pretty simple. BNB, let's go to that one. BNB, we just dropped a new, okay, here we go. So we dropped a new indicator. It's in beta testing. for free during the beta testing. It's got really great results on TradingView. Automation video for DeFi-Logic indicators will be out soon, so keep an eye on that. But all of the custom indicators and trading suites that we've had have been outperforming really nicely on the assets that it trades. That's super cool. Oh yeah, I was looking at this earlier, and it looks like a lot of the stuff looks before it went on the big run. So a lot of markets will do this where it has like the high time frame resistance, and then once it finally breaks out, it can send. And this is what it's looking like too. So with your mid-range, right? Literally everything looks the same. So same idea. If it can break into this two range, you probably just want to buy with whatever wick that it creates. So this isn't really a wick right here, so I'd have to use this one for now. But if it closes, let's say we do get a close above there, it's eventually going to make a low. So that would be my invalidation with target 1 and target 2, right? So that's the planned high time frame for BNB. If it doesn't break into this soon and it goes down first, I think anywhere down here, you can look to be a buyer with the idea of this trade playing out soon. It could even start right here. It might hold this level right here, 250. So it's a big box, but those are the boxes that I'm interested in becoming, a player in that market. So that's where I'm watching. Look for bullish price action here or a close above there to get in. But BNB looks good. I think it's going to run really hard, potentially. I guess we never know with like CZ and stuff if it can have another day, but I don't see why not when the chart looks as nice as it does. But I think that's it for now. So I'll pass it back on over and have GeForce take us through those markets.
Well, Beans, thanks, Eddie. And now I will bring up GeForce to go over the legacy markets and all the fun stuff that's going on in the world that seems to be collapsing.
Oh, thank you for that intro. That was really nice. All right, legacy markets. As always, going to start out with the S&P 500 daily chart. The S&P is climbing just like all the other legacy markets are climbing. Santa Claus rally is the reason they like to say in the news, but we'll get to the real reason is that the yields on the bonds are really going down significantly. So that means the reverse correlation or inverse correlation with the legacy markets. So S&P 500, I have this 4,600 level. Again, that's more of a mental level than an actual technical level. What I want to look at, though, is the technical level right here where it's trading today right at the upper 2x band. So that band is at 46.21, and as you can see right now, the market's trading at 46.30, so it's a little bit above it. It is just making a move up towards it for the week. You can see that the standard deviation line is climbing as well. So everything is looking bullish. So another thing to look at, I do Bollinger Bands, and I like to look at the ranges and also, the upper bands and the standard deviation, because that's where most automated trading goes, is to those levels. Is that you'll see the bands, not only the 2x band, but the 3x band on the upper end, and then also as well the 2x band and the 3x band on the lower end. They're starting to narrow. Okay, this is coming into a narrow zone, and when things start to narrow, things start to move either up or down. So you can see over here way back, the bands narrowed a little bit, a little more narrow, and then things went down. Okay, so we are getting into more of a narrow range, which means things are probably going to move up. I'm thinking it's going to move up because interest rates are going down. The Fed has room to pause, which the announcement actually is tomorrow. So the Fed interest rate announcement, whether they're going to hike or not, is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that will rally the markets if they pause again. They've been pausing. So if they pause again, the markets will go up and we'll have a Santa Claus rally. The next I'm going to look at is NASDAQ. So that has been rallying, as you can see, and right now, today, it's trading above that 2x band. So it is trading higher at 16,275. This number here, this line that I had here, was all the way back to, July. So this 15,888 was this high way back in July 19th, and it's blown through that. You can see though it did dip down when I talk about Bonk bands and standard deviation line. You see where it came here, and I have that mark there at 15,007, and then it opened higher, but came back down to that standard deviation line, didn't go below it, it stayed right at it, and then we've bounced up since then. So it has followed the standard deviation line, just keeps moving up and up, and it has followed, even though we had a sideways trading for 2 weeks. So now it's popping back up again, and it's trading right now between the upper 2x band and the upper 3x band. Now typically I put this in the TA charts. A lot of times when it gets above the 2x band and the 3x band on the legacy markets, it doesn't matter what market it is, it usually closes right at the midpoint between the 2x upper band and the 3x upper band. That's also on the lower bands too. So, and actually we can see that down here, that this one actually a little bit below more the midline, but that usually it travels around the midline. So right now I expect it to close somewhere close in between, halfway between the 3x upper band right there and the 2x. I didn't do the math, but you guys can do the math on that. Moving on to the Dow Jones 30, it's looking the same. It is cleared the mental level of 36,000. It closed that back on Friday, December 1st, and it's traded sideways, and now it's pumping up. So again, today, the reason why it's pumping up is that the announcement tomorrow from the Fed Central Bank is that they're going to pause on interest rates. So this is looking the same thing. Standard deviation line keeps going up and up. All the lines, the bands, the lower band and the upper band's going up and up. But it's not narrowing as the NASDAQ and S&P is narrowing. S&P is narrowing the most. So we'll see. It should move higher. And again, we're looking for a Santa Claus rally. In all three markets, again, last year the market was down 20% on the S&P. And this year they need to make money. The banks need to make money. The brokers need to make money. And they're going to push things higher to make some money for them, for their pockets, and so they can have a nice Christmas. Moving on to the dollar index, the DXY. Okay, so we've had quite a few. Month of November was a bad November for the DXY. You can see all these move down. Now it's climbing back up, and it's hovering around the standard deviation line. So you can see we've got here 1, 2, 3 days that's been around it. Yesterday it popped above it. Today it wicked back to it. So it's hovering around there. And you can also see that the Bollinger Bands, the bands are starting to narrow significantly. So we're going to see some sort of move. It could be a move back down, or it could be a move back up. Right now, I don't know, because I consider when things are trading around the standard deviation line, that's no man's land. That's like neutral. You can't really have a direction. It's hard to tell a direction when it's trading in that no man's land. But once you're down here and the lower band on 2x band, you can see it move up to the standard deviation line. And that was pretty what it's supposed to do. You can see that, and it definitely did that. I'm going to save gold for last. Moving on to the US 10-year yield, okay? And the reason why the legacy markets are moving up is because its yield has been moving down. You can see it, boom. We've had also, again, November, just like the dollar index, bad November for the yields going down. And again, on bond yields, it's an inverse correlation to bond prices. So as the yield goes down, the bond prices go up, and vice versa. So you can see it's hit a significant low here back on the first part of December, on December 6th. And it probably could maybe raise to the standard deviation line. But again, the federal bank announcement tomorrow will drive it one way or the other. And I'm assuming it's going to drive back down again and get down to the 2x band here at 0.93% on that. So we'll look at that, and the big driver is tomorrow, the announcement tomorrow. Okay, gold is acting very good. It's acting very technical. You can see it had a huge run up. My lines will populate here in a second. There they are. So looking at it, the 2000 mark. Okay, so it popped like it should. and I thought, I said it would back in the end of October. I knew it was going to go down to this level. Now that level is all the way this high point back here on July 19th. So I keep that level there on a technical basis. So the 2000 mark is significant, a mental level for gold. Popped up there, went back. I knew it would go back down to the 1980. I wasn't too sure what's going to do. Well, as I said before, and I said this in TA charts, it just kept dropping. It dropped lower than I thought it would, and it's taken more time. But once it got down here, okay, it's just rallied up. Boom, skyrocketed up. Blew past this level at 1980, blew past at 2000 at the end of November, and it skyrocketed up. Now it's pulling back because the legacy markets are running. So it's going to pull back past at this point, which standard deviation line and the 2000 at the same point. So I was like, okay, this is important right here. What's it going to do? Well, we got our answer yesterday. It just tanked. Okay. So we know it's not going to bounce off that standard deviation line or bounce off the 2000 level. It's just going to keep going down. So now today you'll see that it closed yesterday right at the actually the 1980 level. Actually closed yesterday at 1981. So I'm not going to worry about $1. So now it's going to go back down, and the 2x lower band is coming up. So they're going to meet at some point. Whether it gets all the way back down to this point in the middle of November at 1937, I don't know. If it does, then it's definitely a double bottom. If it comes and is shy from that point, it doesn't get to this low here, and then it starts to reverse back up, that's bullish. That's a positive sign because it didn't get all the way back down to that 1930s level. So gold is actually interesting, believe it or not, and we'll see what happens at that point. Okay, Pepe, that's enough for me for now, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, John. And that's it for this week. As a DeFi-Logic server member, you can request chart reviews, discuss markets daily with other server members, and if you're interested in our TradingView indicator strategies, you can test them all out for free during beta testing. So join our server now. Early members get free server access for life and future discounts on additional products and services. We will see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Mountain Time for our TA call. GN friends.
Join us next week in Discord for TA Tuesday at DeFiLogic.com.